Hi, Evonne. Welcome to Revitalized Womanhood. I'm so excited to have you here.
Thank you for having me. I'm glad we could make this work.
Yes, I'm actually really, really excited. We were listening to not your podcast, but your husband recording with Scott the other day, my husband and myself, and we were just like, wow, they have a really cool story. And it's not even so much that it's cool, it's all American. Like it just feels like true all American, why America is great, good story.
Yeah, it's when you guys always say that, it takes me a minute to like think about that, right? Because like I've just lived it. So you just do what you do. But then to hear it back sometimes, I'm like, oh my gosh, like we were crazy, right? Or we just didn't know any better. So we just went. Like there was nothing to lose and everything to gain. And that's what we did. So.
I love it. I love it so much. So why don't you tell us? I don't even know how far back you go, you guys. They've created this powerhouse of a company and it's so well known. Where do you like start? Okay, so my favorite start where to start is when you two met because you did not care for him so much, right? You and
No.
your husband. It was kind of like, and I loved that you just said, so first of all, okay, let me go back a teeny bit because you guys just launched a new podcast together.
We did.
So you have your old podcast, which was the Clean Truth podcast, and now it's turned into the Founderz Lounge, and I love it. I was literally just sitting here like listening to it. I was out putting my lip gloss on, listening to it and getting ready for everything. And so anyway, so when you just said how you guys met for the first time, it really put it in perspective even better than when he explains it because you were talking about how women were not in the gym. We're not lifting weights. We were maybe, they were maybe doing like the dance classes or the step classes or, so yeah, start there because that's my favorite place.
So yeah, I was an X-ray tech. So and I just went through a divorce probably 2 years prior to that. And so right before I quit X-ray, I had melanoma. I don't know if I talked about that on the podcast or not, but I got melanoma and decided that the people that I was working with, my 9 to 5 job, was just not the people that I wanted to die with. And when you work 9 to 5, like that, they're more family than ever. And I'm just like, I'm not choosing you. So I quit my job and my mom took me around one day to go look at real estate spaces, which I had no clue. Like I always tell everyone, like I felt like it was Meg Ryan's is it which one you got mail, right? And she goes to the little bookstore and she's carrying her flowers in her basket, and like I felt like that's what restaurant business was, right? It is nothing like that at all. So anyway, me and my mom found this location and it was right across from a gym on the opposite side of the road. And I'm like, oh, these are my people. Like, like I can cook to these people. They understand because like you just said, back then to eat healthy, like you were either vain or OCD, or you just had something wrong with you to want to make your body look a certain way. So I'm like, they'll accept me. They'll accept me. So I went in one day and I was working out and I'm like, like marketing. I didn't think it was marketing, but marketing, like get your people, like, so I started talking to all the trainers and there was this one girl in particular and my husband was training there. And so he kept like looking at me and like staring like thug look, and I was like, hey, like girls can be here too, because again, like you just said, we were expected to like be in dance class and step aerobics and that kind of stuff was always popular there. And so I was just like, I just like puffed my shirt up and I was like, whatever, And so anyway, his story was that he was checking me out because there wasn't too many girls like he was like interested. And so, yeah, so he later that day comes over and eats chicken, broccoli, and rice. And I'm just like, I always kid. I'm like, I must have the best chicken, broccoli, rice because he never left. So,
Oh
but
my gosh, I love that so much. That's adorable. Okay, I love that you said you're not who I want to die with because you were working this job that was basically sucking your soul away. And you are one of the lucky, we are as well. We are in the category of one of the lucky ones that get that revelation, that get something that maybe terrible happens or luckily not so terrible happens, that gets this something that happens in your life and it jolts you out of this to where you can look around and say, this is not my life. This is not my path. I've got to do something different because I don't want to be on my deathbed thinking, shoulda, woulda, coulda, and I didn't, right? And I think that is a lucky aha moment for people to have. So I'm super glad that you said that like that.
That's exactly what I would say too. You have to have that aha moment and then you just dig in and you go. So.
Oh my gosh. Okay. So another reason why for me, you are a true American story is because it's not glamorized. You guys don't glamorize it. And that's why I'm really excited for you guys and this, the Founderz Lounge to start talking about these things. And he's right. Everybody wants to know, like, what about the behind the scenes? What about the nitty gritty? What about the, like right now? Yeah, you're huge and you're successful and you've got this chain and whatever, but it started with you living like in not glamorous places and having to do things that were not glamorous things, you know, and everybody just, I think they just assume that that's the easy path to get to there. And they don't think about the things where it was like, I heard him say, we handed over this $2,000 check. And I felt it. I seriously felt it because after we lost everything, that was us. And our first investment was every penny we had just scrimped to save, handing this check over. And I was just like, oh, is this the right choice? And you know exactly what that feels like.
Yeah, it was the scariest thing ever, you know, and yeah, and it started like, again, I feel like the internet portrays like the entrepreneur has become such a cool word, you know, and like I wanted to do like a little reel because everyone thinks like you're in this fancy office and you're doing all this. And I'm like, no, I'm pushing a broom at, like 10 minutes before I got on this podcast. I was like out there pushing a broom to sweep up the mess in the warehouse, you know, and I was like, you know, I feel like an entrepreneur, like you got to do the dirty work or it does not work. And those who have not done that and they are sitting behind the glamorous desk, like, I don't think I would like that anyway. So, but yeah, we lived in our cafe. Like it was either cafe rent or like a house rent and we couldn't afford both. So I seriously slept on a futon, like a air mattress in a closet. And that's why I was at the gym so early in that morning because I was getting a shower in and brushing my teeth, you know, across the street and then come back over and lived there, you know. And I mean, you know, as you keep saying how big it was, like I loved that. Like I loved being that. And I'm one of those people too. I don't know how, but I feel like if I don't like dig deep and like I don't put the blood, sweat, and tears, then I didn't really deserve it, you know. So, which is, I don't know. It's just it's good just to get your hands dirty. You just earn it. And I feel like the team around you respects it more because like they just saw me pick up a broom, you know, and I know that sounds so cliche, but they're like, you know what? She's not better than us. And if she's doing it and I ask them to do it next time, then they know that I did it. And I'm not asking them to do anything that I wouldn't do myself. So
yeah, you're not belittling the task. It's your pride. It's pride. Yeah. That's my husband and I talk about that a lot is he had mentors like his dad, who is this farmer. You look at him and he's this farmer, but he is a successful businessman. He's an entrepreneur. And he said, I have examples like that would be out in the shop, sweeping up the shop. And you know that it's pride. It's just pride. It's not a task is too small. This is my business. This is my baby. And I'm going to do whatever it takes.
You do.
I actually loved learning about you. Podcasts are so amazing. You get to know so much about someone that you probably never would have shared before or probably wouldn't have found out before. But I really liked you talking about how you were raised, your childhood. And it just, honestly, I swear we could just brand you the all-American girl because the whole time you were talking, I was singing Jack and Diane in my head. Is that funny? Like, I don't know why it just pictured the scene that you created. I'm like Jack and Diane playing in my head. But you created little businesses for yourself. And even though you weren't thinking about it at the time, you were in the entrepreneurial mindset at a young age. So where did that come from?
I have no clue. Like, I just didn't like, this sounds terrible the way it's probably going to come out, but I didn't like people tell me what to do. Does that like,
No, that's not terrible.
And I'm not saying I was a defiant kid. Like I'm fine about like rules and that kind of stuff, but I just didn't want to be under someone's thumb all the time, or on the other thing, okay, so my mom and dad would say like, we can't afford that, like I wanted like the designer pair. Even if I only had like one pair of designer pair and I wore them 7 days a week, that's what I wanted. And so my mom would always like buy me like the boy jeans, at Walmart or whatever. And I'd be like, I don't want to wear those. And, so I just found the resources to make my money to buy what I wanted, which I know sounds really cliche with that, but it started with picking up cans and dishes because that was like a big thing back then, like you could cash in the cans to the scrap yards, and then walnut trees. So I could go and pick all the walnuts and I would throw them out in the driveway and then people would run over the walnuts and I could get the green stuff and then pick the walnuts out and shell them. What else did I do? Like I was always babysitting, that was an easy one, but what do you do during the week, with that? So I did the walnuts and then I picked mushrooms in the spring because you could go to the bar where everyone was like drinking that night and sell like a pound of mushrooms that, you did. So I don't know. I was always finding something around the farm. There's tons of stuff you could turn into cash around the farm, so.
That's so funny that you were thinking like that at such a young age. Because I understand it because I had 7 siblings and on one income. So if we did want something specific, like I wanted Gerbo jeans, that was like the cool thing to go to Copper Rivet and get a pair of Gerbo jeans. And I had to earn it myself. I had to make my own money. I think my first job, I was 14 because that was back when you could have a job when you were 14 and it was in a nursing home. But I had to do it. I had to because we didn't have extra money for that kind of thing. So it's not cliche. I think it makes it's fine to want things and good to know you have to work for them. And honestly, I think it's come through in my life is I take really good care of things because I find value in the things that I have, you know what I mean? So it builds character. I think so. So, okay. When you have your cafe. So I feel bad because I'm kind of talking to you like I already know you because I have been listening to your podcast. And so my listeners probably are like, okay, Gina, we're just trying to play catch up. So you owned a cafe and it was focused on clean eating, healthy eating, things that, what was on your menu when you first started? I was dying laughing when you guys printed your menus and they were misspelled on them. I was dying laughing and I loved it so much. But what were some of the things on your first menu?
So we had, so I was like vegetarian back there. So I remember like the eggplant Parmesan, like sandwich that we did, like eggplant portobello mushroom sandwich. And then, I wanted to bring new things. So bison has always been on that. We had really started, looking at like emu. Emu was like ostrich was kind of popular, but I just could not afford that. So, but it was just basically bring in, like, I knew that the place that I was at, like if I didn't bring in comfort foods, like they would never come in and eat there, so you had to bring in like, I kind of like copied other restaurants at that time to see what was popular and then just make a healthier version of it. So we had pizzas back then. We made like the pita, the pita pocket bread. We bought that and made pizzas on top of that. And then this build your own bowl was what we're really kind of known for a little bit because you can choose. So I felt like I was a kickbox instructor. So, everyone has I feel like with the dieting that it feels so strict, right? So the build your own bowl, I'm like, okay, well, you can pick whatever you want. And so I wanted to like hit all like the guys, the kids, the women and all that. And so you can pick your base, which was, you could either do carbs or no carb, that kind of stuff. And so I could add all these varieties, and service everybody because I wanted everyone at that time to know that they could be healthy. And that was like, people just didn't remember that was like the fat-free phase, Weight Watchers and all that. And it just got a really bad name because everything tasted like cardboard back there. And I'm like, well, we just eat like tons of lean proteins and veggies. We can kind of do whatever we want and then indulge with that sauce, So I don't know. That's probably longer than what you wanted, but
no, not at all. Because the whole time you were talking about it, I'm thinking, so where in St. George is she going to put 2 of these? Because it's true. Because I do default to taking my kids to Chick-fil-A or McDonald's because it's quick, it's easy, and whatever. But my husband, he's more conscious about his weight because I haven't had to be so far, luckily, but he is more conscious of it. And so he will go to like Jimmy John's and get something more healthy or, you know, and just cut his calories and those kinds of things. But places like you're describing sound like a game changer for me. Like I would 100% frequent that because like you're saying, I can feed my kids while I'm there. I can feed me. I can feed my husband. You're making it so that there's something for everybody. So, okay. Well, I can't wait to find out when you're moving to St. George with this.
We've only had one person from Utah. So you're going to have to hopefully everyone listens to this and they want to open one there.
Yeah.
So
yeah, exactly. Well, maybe we'll open one, huh?
There you go.
So, okay. Tell me if I'm wrong. You had 2 cafes when you started the idea of franchising. Is that right?
So we had one in North Carolina. So we had 2 cafes in Missouri or Illinois. And then we moved to the beach sandstone thinking that we were going to get some rest, right? And that did not happen. So we opened Clean Eatz there. And that's like a whole nother podcast, how that got there. I'm sure you've heard that. But then so every time that we did this, we were always broke, right? And so we had saved a little money on this and we're like, we just want to go open our dream cafe, right? So like build it, blah, blah, blah. And we found a location that we wanted. So we went into a supplier and we're like, you know, this is what we want to do. And he kind of like slid a business card across the table. And he's like, I think that you guys should look into franchising. And we're like, what is that? Like, we're just 2 meatheads with I'm an X-ray tech. He was a carpenter, no business degree. I'm like, so we had to Google, and Google wasn't the best back then either. Like you're talking 12 years ago, right? Or 10 years ago. So we Googled it and franchising and all that. And I was just like, all right, maybe we can do this. And they're like, oh, you know, my goal was always to put McDonald's out of business. So I'm like, this is the way. I had like a vision board and I had like this United States on there and it was like fruits and vegetables everywhere. And I was like, this is Clean Eatz. I just don't know how I'm going to get there, you know? But this is me. This is our stamp and we're going to change the world. Isn't that like weird to think about that 10 years ago and you have like one cafe, one store, you know, like how does that work? But it was kind of crazy because 4 years later, I looked back on that vision board. I'm like, oh my gosh, then the universe knew this the whole time, you know? And everything fell. I can't tell you how easy, I'm not saying easy, but how it just like consistently next step. And it was effortless. You know what I mean? Like they're like, oh, you're going to franchise but it's going to take a while because we got to sell them. And then 6 of our customers were our first owners. So like the people that we had been making food for 2 years, they're like, we believe in this and we're doing it. I'm like, really? Like you think that, you know? And so they picked up and they moved to other locations. So just different towns that they were never had anything to do with, right? Isn't that crazy? Like, I mean, talk about believing in something, you know?
That's community. That is an amazing community. Even you just talking about it, I'm just sitting here like, I love her brain. Like, I love that you were just thinking that big and just from when you were a little girl, just, I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this. I love it. You were just, this is what I'm going to do. It's going to happen. That's why. And so I think it doesn't surprise me that that's the community that you were establishing. Maybe you didn't realize you were establishing a community. These were just your friends and people that would support you and come in and eat and you'd say hi to whatever. But you were establishing a community because they saw your passion, just like you out there sweeping up. They saw that you were going somewhere and that this was something to get behind. I love it. That's so amazing. So, okay. So how many of them do you have now?
So today's last Thursday was 88 open. Yeah. And I'm not the number person. I'm sure if you're listening to the podcast, like I'm pretty sure there's 162 total license. So there's quite a few under construction right now. We thought that we were going to hit 100 by the end of the year, but we should come in like 93. So.
Holy cow. So yeah. It didn't always start as brick and mortars though, did it? You were doing food prep for meals for gyms, or was that while you still had your brick and mortars? Was that in North Carolina or was that up in Illinois?
Nope, that was North Carolina. So we were like, how can we, get our brand out there more, right? So we bought like a refrigerated truck and we started going to locations and meeting people like in the surrounding towns, and they would like purchase meals off of our cooler truck, right? And which later we're like, oh, well, like, why did nobody ever think about putting these meals in like the supplement shops and the gyms and all that? So then we started doing that. So we would start selling, they would buy freezers and we put the meals in there, right? And then we got turned into USDA. So you can't, them. Yeah, there's rules. And so they're like, you can't retail without our inspections, which if you guys, look like all the lean cuisine or like those have that little round circle on there, right? So I'm actually at one of our Missouri kitchen today. But they come in here every single day and inspect us. So that's a whole nother story too. But that's how it went. And then, so that's how we started getting out. And so fast forward to franchising, we were just doing like a couple of like different stores. And I was like, how do we have 6 cafes, right? No one knows who the hell we are. How do we get this brand out there so that we can start creating we want people to start talking about us, So we're like, we're going to make a Clean Eatz kitchen. And so that was direct to consumers' doors. So no matter where you were at, we could ship the meals to you, right? And then we could start building brand awareness. And then those people who were kind of ordering Clean Eatz kitchen and getting them, they're like, this is really good. And then they would Google us and like, I could open, like you said, I can open one here, And so that's how we started selling the franchises, was like people ordering our meals, thinking that they were really good, looking on the website and then creating, or, like wanting to take that leap of faith forward to opening one in their community. Because again, we're still broke at this point. So we can't afford, like bringing on someone to sell our franchises. So we still have to like organically start getting these things done. So
I like too that you guys didn't really give in to the fake it till you make it philosophy. That's a very big philosophy in entrepreneurship, I feel like. But you guys were just hustling. Like every story I hear you talk about, it was a hustle. It was like, we're doing it. We're in it. It's just getting one step at a time, one day at a time, in it.
Well, the pressure comes too, don't forget, because now I got 6 of my friends who just invested. And like, it's the scariest thing to have one of their parents come up to you and be like, to put their hand on their shoulder. And they're like, I just invested my entire retirement fund for my son into your like dream or your concept or your store. So make sure I get it back, and the day I paid him off, like his son paid his retirement back, I was like, phew. So, you have to like, when you have that pressure, and now I got 88 of them and they have kids to support and money, it's a lot of pressure. So you have to, whatever it takes, you're all in. That's our big thing, all in.
And I know that from just this few minutes of being able to talk to you that you are all in and that they have your support. But where do you draw the line between you guys? This is your baby. This is your baby. You gotta, I've given you the foundation or do you have a hard time with that still? You have a hard time with the boundaries.
Yeah, I don't have a good poker face. So yeah, I was like,
no.
No, like there's different ways with that. And you have to remember, like in the franchise, if one fails, it's just not like Clean Eatz, Utah or something. Like that's Clean Eatz as a brand. And that affects the ones that maybe we sell units. So like if someone bought 3 and we had those close or we can't fix them, then like that's their SBA loans, going moving forward. So everything becomes a black mark at that point. So, you have to dig deep with the owners, right? And you have to say, why is this not working? Is your heart not in this? And if that's okay, then that's fine. Like, let me find somebody who wants to buy this from you and put their heart back in, because our lives all change. So what you're passionate about, 5 years ago to open this cafe, it's not driving you right now. And we can see that on this side. Some, they just, our social media has entrepreneurship as a very, like, they just think that they're going to go in and just tell people what to do. And then that doesn't work, so you have to like, okay, you don't have the right people in place. Let's get those right people in place. So yeah, I fight tooth and nail for them. And so doesn't my husband. Like, we try to dig deep, and then there's just some that are like, I'm just closing, like I'm done. And you're like, okay. But I try to document all that because you want someone like you coming in, and if you say like, like, why did they close? And I'm like, well, here's what we did, and here's the support that we gave them, and this was the final decision, but just to be like, okay, it's not the concept, it was that person, and it's not right for everybody.
Yeah, it's like it's being a leader in a community. That just like me, I have women that come in and they think that they're all gung-ho and going to be all in it. And sometimes you're going to have people just like Ryan with, Order of Man and the Iron Council, just like any community, you're going to have people come in and they think that that's what they need and whatever. And there's just, for some reason, there's just a disconnect that you just have to say, that's what happened. And so how do you deal with right now? Is it a big deal for you guys as far as employment and helping these people, or them finding employees?
Oh yeah. We're very fortunate in the fact that we have like work-life balance, right? So the weekends, which is Saturdays and Sundays, we close at 3 p.m. because we just feel like that's people's cheat meals, like they're not coming in to eat healthy. And most of them pick up their weekly meals with us and they eat all week. And so we're like, go eat your pizza, go do this. Like, you've been healthy all week, go cheat, We don't have grease. We don't have any of that bad stuff that makes other jobs, like not fun to go to. We preach a lifestyle. So most of the cafes are always working out with their team members. We want you to be healthy, because if you're not practicing it, then how can you help our customers, So yes, we have, like just everyone else, have that employment, but once we find the right people and we invest in them, then they stay for as long, like quite a while. So
I think it's a culture. So I think you have found kind of a niche in employees and a lucky sweet spot, because that is a culture. Lifting, working out, eating healthy. It's a culture of people that understand that it's a lifestyle. It's not just a quick fix. It's not just a fad diet. We do this because we love doing it. I go to the gym every day because I love doing it. I see what it does for my family. I see what it does for my body. I see what, and these are the same kind of people that are essentially buying your franchises, eating in your restaurants and working there, whatever. So yeah, gosh, that's amazing. It's a lifestyle for them too. Do you still serve bison?
We do.
You do? Okay. So explain this to me, because I know about when you butcher, you have to have the butchers that do the domestic versus the wild game. They have to be completely separate. They have to be completely documented and da-da-da-da-da. Is it hard to do that? Or once you got it set up and it's good to go?
Yeah, we're still using the same manufacturer from 10 years ago, and it comes out of Wyoming. So it has ranch on there, and they send it to our food distributor. And there was a time when it was becoming a little bit hard to get, but I don't know what they did, but they must have found some others. And but there's like a lot of bison farms now. So it's not as unique as it once was, I think, 10 years ago. So yeah, but
you'll have to go. Next time you visit your place in Salt Lake, go up to Layton, and they have Antelope Island, and you can have like bison burgers there. They have like free range bison and stuff, and you can have bison burgers. So
yes. Park City, they had bison steak the last time I went.
That doesn't surprise me. They're getting very Yellowstone-esque up there. It's getting very much a vibe now. It's always been a vibe, but it seems like it's worse now. Well, oh my gosh. So, okay, for my listeners, this is a community for women. It's all based around being better wives, being better mothers, being better community leaders, business owners, whatever that means for you to be better. So do you have kids, right? Don't you have girls? Yeah. Or both girls, right?
Both. Yep.
So when you started this journey, you also had that pressure of being an example for my girls, raising good women. Like, what were your stressors for that? Because I feel like there are going to be commonalities for every one of us, but what was big things back then that you were just like, oh, if I don't do this right, or...
Yeah, that's a lot, especially with girls, I feel like, because, how do you promote health and positive body image at the same time, right? Because I always, in our house, like we never use the term diet, which, everyone's always like, I'm on a diet. We used more like fuel, so I really, because I felt like I got in a place when I was competing a lot, I was always about my body, like critiquing it. And it ran off on them a little bit. You know what I mean? So they're always like, Mom, do you think I'm like chunky? Like, do you think my stomach, like I don't have a flat abs, like all this. And I'd be like, no, but you could really, I picked up on it really quick with the girls, so I'm just like, like we all need to fuel our body different ways. So if you guys want to, go out and play soccer today, like, McDonald's is not going to fuel you, like it might get you like down halfway to the field, but like if I could fuel you with like, let's eat some grilled chicken, and like, let's eat your broccoli today. And that's like goal, like, fuel for you. So I think as moms, and especially in this, body image, is like, it's just a really sensitive topic for me, because you don't want any kid to, I don't know if there's something like in your past that maybe one of your mom or dad said to you and you just carried it with you forever. Like, like it was that day. And for me, it was, I was sitting at my aunt's house and she had two gorgeous daughters and they were like little toothpicks, and I remember my mom saying to my aunt, she's like, my kids, they're all husky. They'll never fit in that size of jean. And like, I had to be like 6 or 7. Right. And I'm like, you know what? I will be in that size of jean someday. And And so it's weird. And I just looking back, I didn't want my girls to ever feel that way, if that makes sense. So I wanted them to be healthy, not like overweight, but, but never make them feel insecure about that. So.
Yeah, that's a big thing right now, especially with all the drama that comes around being body positive. I have a hard time with body positive if it's something like, yeah, it's fine to be body positive, but not if you're going to have a heart attack and die because you're eating the worst food possible. It's like, I can understand that you're a full-figured woman, but are you just shoving McDonald's down your throat? Or are you just drinking soda all day long? Like, why would you want to be positive about that? That's not body positive for me. That's saying it's okay to live an unhealthy lifestyle, which isn't good for anybody. I like that you said that with your mom. So she basically projected an identity on you before you even had a chance to figure out your own identity. I think we've all been there. I don't remember anything specifically for myself, but my niece, I know she was always a size bigger. I have a lot of nieces, and my one that I love dearly, and now she's a model, so it's really funny, but she was always in a size bigger than the other girls her age, just for whatever reason. She wasn't heavy or anything. And I remember when she was like 8 years old, coming home across the street from her friend's house, and her mom saying, "Okay, sit up, it's time for dinner." And she's like, "I'm not eating." I don't even think she was 8. I swear she was maybe only 6, like you're saying. And she's like, "I'm not going to eat dinner tonight." And my sister's like, "Why not?" And she says, "The girls were making fun of me because I'm fat." And I was shocked because at the time I didn't have kids. And I'm like, what? You're 6? I can't believe that this is a thing when you're 6 to something that you have to worry about. So for whatever reason, I'm sorry that happened to you in your brain, but I'm glad that it happened to you because you had the ability to make sure it wasn't happening to your daughters. You stopped it.
It's just, and everything happens for a reason. I always believe that. So it was meant to, look where it's led, to this whole healthy concept, because who knows if that was the comment that did it, but I don't know. It just, so yeah. So remember that as parents, that you might not even know that they're saying it, but it's just like one thing that sticks with us for the rest of our lives.
So I have core values, core categories, and their beliefs, which is your mind, your mental wellness, religious, whatever, your body, your, of course, physical, obviously, and your bonds, which is the community you surround yourself in and business. What is your favorite tips and tricks for someone that maybe is on a path for a healthy mindset? What's your favorite trick for you to keep yourself in a healthy mindset?
Man, I want to say patience.
Okay, now tell me how to do that, because I have all boys and they're 11, 8, and 2. So I would love all the tips on that, because I have yet to find it.
Sorry, I got a little background noise.
You're okay.
Man, I just think it is to sit there and like we put so much pressure on, I feel like, with that, right? And you want it all at one time. So it's always like celebrating the little wins, like how many times have you heard, oh, I only lost 5 pounds. And I'm like, well, then put 5 pounds back around your waist or hold 5 pounds and walk again, like 5 pounds is a huge win, right? So it's just taking those little bitty things and celebrating them, and just, know that you didn't get here in 7 days. So why do we feel like we're going to lose the weight in 7 days? Right. So it's patience and celebrating the little wins. Because if you're waiting for the big win to always celebrate, you're going to be waiting and getting discouraged along the way, is what I feel like.
And the wins are what get you to the big wins. 5 pounds, if you're going for 50, 5 is getting you to 50. So I really love that. What do you think as far as, okay, so this is your specialty here, body. So what are things that we can be doing? I mean, yeah, implementing, so less calories, implementing veggies, leaner meats, which is all good. Is there anything else that you have that's a life trick for you, life habit, I think you could call it? Uh-oh. Is it yours or mine? There you go. Are you back?
Now?
Yeah. Yep. You're
okay.
Good.
Sorry. I don't know why that did. Do you know, I know you're just going to think this is too simple, but walking.
That's what Emily Frizella said too.
Did she really?
Yes. Yes, she did. She said, just move. That is
just move.
Because that's, why do people just blow past basic? Like, why are you overthinking it? Okay, if you have to change the channel, get up and change the channel. I mean, just get up. And she said walking too. That is awesome. I love that.
I did 30 days of 10,000 steps. Do you know how hard that is? And I think I dropped, it wasn't like I wasn't speed walking. It was just normal walking, and I'm just I'm getting 10,000 steps in. And it might have been at lunch and I'm just walking around the block. Or I learned when I was on the phone, to start pacing back and forth outside, it takes a while to get 10,000 steps. And I was sore and I was I'm kind of eating my words right now because I'm I thought walking was for, older people, I should say, but, just an accomplished thing. I felt in my mind, I had to be running or sprinting or all this. And I ended up getting a bad knee and had surgery. And so I'm just ugh, I don't want to walk. So I'm okay, well, I'm going to try this 10,000 steps a day because I was trying to just, move. And it's hard. It's almost 4 miles a day. So put that on your feet every day and all that. Just move. To quit overcomplicating it. It's the simplest things that work that
I love that. And you don't even think about it. That's what I said to her. My mom was here when I was recording with her. My mom was here, and I was like really not upset because of course I wanted to spend time with my mom, but I was upset that I wasn't going to the gym, to my gym class or whatever. And I was like, oh, so we'll just go for a walk, Mom. Okay. And I put my baby in the stroller, and we live on a gradual hill, but it is a hill. And if my baby's in the stroller, that's what you've got to think about, ladies. That's your 30-pound baby and a 15-pound stroller, you know, that you are pushing up a hill now. And I was sweating. I was like, okay, I actually got a workout. So this was really good. I'm like, oh, maybe it's just me and I'm out of shape. But no, it really is. You're, like you said, don't overcomplicate it. Just low hanging fruit. Just go for a walk.
Go for a walk.
Oh my gosh. Okay. So business, what are your tips for, I don't know where to begin with that because you have been so successful and hardworking. What's something that you tell your franchise people, something that's like your motivation for them?
I would say the hardest thing that I have adopted that is detach.
Explain that. Detach from what?
So I feel like that was business owners, we always get in our four walls. And if you could just like take yourself and look down, right? And like detach yourself from your four walls and take yourself out of that and like think, right? It's so hard that we get concept in the gossip in your four walls, the stress in your four walls. And, you know, I think that's why everyone says like to take a vacation, always you come back motivated, right? Because think about that. You're going away from your business and you're looking away and you don't have the stress, not stress, but you know, you're looking at it from the outside in. So that is the hardest thing. And my other thing I wrote down, I was on a coaching call and they said in the beginning, like, I didn't want to take feedback. I didn't want to take ideas. I didn't want to take criticism. And I was just like, now feedback is a gift, I feel like. And we don't always want to hear the negative, you know, we always want positive, but the negative is how you solve your problems. So listen and take what you can. And like, if there's a negative comment about that, then how do you turn that and solve a problem, you know? So detach from your business. Sometimes when we have all of our feelings and everything in there, we can't make the decisions and see the bigger picture, I feel like. And then feedback is more of a gift than a burden. So
yeah, don't discredit constructive criticism.
Yeah.
Sometimes when it comes from your husband, it's a little hard to take, but
I didn't say who. It was
for me. Okay, so for the last one, bonds. What about putting yourself in the right setting with groups that are going to motivate, inspire, not weigh you down? I think your husband talks a lot about this from before he met you. And when he met you, he was still kind of not really surrounding himself with the right folks.
True. This is a hard one. So you know, it's always like the sum of the 5 people that you hang around with, which I think is yes and no, you know, like that's, but oh, man, you have to be inspired. And I know that we have a girls group that there's 6 of us that all own our own businesses and that kind of stuff. So I surround it with that. And, you know, this one's hard. I'm sorry. Like, I have my franchise community, you know, and the owners with that. But as far as people, because it's like some people are happy for you. Some people are not happy for you. Some of them pretend that they're happy for you. And I just don't have time to sort through all that dating stuff, you know? Does that make sense?
Yeah, I just actually explained it because I had a lot of people, because we have our Facebook group that's the free Facebook group versus my community that is a paid membership community. And they're like, well, I just really don't want to put the money into it, or I'd rather be in a community that's free, whatever. And I'm like, that's fine. I'm not here to tell you what you need to do or whatever. I'm giving you places to go. That's your choice. Let me tell you what the free community is. It is the wild, wild west. You don't know who's really there, hiding behind what computer, saying whatever they want. They could be in a completely toxic place in their life and want to bring everyone down with them. And you're trying to put yourself in a raw place with your questions and being open and honest with your growth. And someone's going to come in there and either give you horrible advice or give you advice that they want you to use to hurt you, and it's like, that's the difference. So do with it what you will. That's the difference.
I also think you have to, the people who always give the most advice usually have done the least, I feel like, too. So definitely background some of those people too, they're always like, it's crazy. We go to like these franchise conventions, and it's always like the people with the like least amount of units, like we call them units, like they'll have like 3, right? And they're like, but they have the biggest mouth. And I'm like, what have you done? So I love like being the quiet one in our groups, because I feel like if you're the one that's speaking the most in your group, then you're in the wrong group, right?
Yeah, and if you're the one speaking the most in your group, you're not listening.
Exactly.
Right? That's what we tell my 8-year-old. I'm like, if your mouth is always running, nothing's going in your ears.
Correct. So I'm really bad about my group of people around me. So it's hard. It's hard sometimes.
Yeah,
so,
when you're building something like this, I can imagine you get burned along the way.
You do.
Yeah. I'm a newbie. I'm fresh in it. And I mean, even when we had our vacation rentals and I was trying to have employees, you get burned along the way. You kind of live and learn and come out of it with some bumps and bruises and try to do better on the next one. And
I always said, we don't have a circle of friends. We have a dot. Like it's a dot.
As long as it's a good dot.
Yeah. And that's
a quality dot.
Yeah. That you look up to and has your best interest in heart.
Yeah. So where are you going from here? Taking over the world?
Yeah. I mean, I'm still trying to put McDonald's out of business. So got a little work. Sometimes it's kind of like, I put them out of business. They are kind of job security a little bit too, I feel like. So it's like a love-hate relationship. We're getting ready to build a new headquarters in Wilmington, North Carolina. So super excited about that because the original cafe is only 1,100 square feet. So we are not able to train our franchise partners in there. So that is really cool that we're going to have a new spec cafe, and then our offices will be behind it. So it's like a controlled freaks best scenario because I'm going to put like a 2-way mirror so I can see my customers coming in. I can be sitting in my office and like looking, So, but super excited about that. Just to start doing like maybe some lunch and learns in our community, bringing them in there, and no one knows about this. So this is the first time I'm saying it. But we just bought 200 acres and we are turning it into a retreat for like our customers. Don't want to say like a fat camp, but something. We're calling it Unplugged. So my vision is kind of like everyone throws their cell phones in the basket, and we're going to like work on ourselves like at this. So we just right before, like we just signed papers on it a couple of days ago. So look for that. I'm kind of excited. I know you guys in Utah have a couple of good ones out there too. So
we do. So you definitely need to come down and visit us and hang out with us at our property, and we will take you to a couple and you can see some. Because yes, in Southern Utah there are some amazing places for that. But I cannot wait. So I hope I'm on the mailing list for the first invites to go out to sign up. I'll be there. I don't know where we will be, but I will be there. That sounds amazing.
And we'll do a lot of walking.
A lot of walking. Yeah. We're all going to have our Fitbits. We're all going to do a lot of walking. 10,000 steps a day, guys. Yeah. So where can people come and find you to learn more about your franchises, to learn more about clean eating? First of all, don't forget, it's the Founderz Lounge on the podcast. It's a good listen. I'm actually going to go back and get back into the Clean Truth, but I've loved so far the episodes of the Founderz Lounge. So I'm excited for you guys to keep doing that. Where can they come to learn more about you guys?
So they can come to the website, which is Clean Eatz with a Z.com. CleanEatzKitchen.com is, if you don't have a franchise near you, you can always go there and order meals online. I'm not a really good person on social media, but you can look at me, and it might take me a while to get to you, but definitely will try to respond to that. So, and then like you said, the Founderz Lounge. So it's probably, I might be, who knows, I'm out walking somewhere. You might see me, God only knows where I'll be, So
there she goes.
Yeah, there she is.
There she is. You've been so fun. I'm so glad that you agreed to come on here and chat with me. I'm really inspired by you. Like I said, Jack and Diane playing in the head the whole time. I don't know why. That's going to be your that's going to be your new theme song for me. So I really appreciate you being here. Thank you so much.
Thank you for finding me and asking me to be on. And congratulations on you too. So I did a little research on you. So congratulations on all that you're doing.
Thank you. I really appreciate it.